Hello and welcome to this video series brought to you by the Economic Times, ETCIO in association with SAS. My name is Muqbil Ahmer and I am at the SAS Innovate on Tour event being held in Mumbai. I am the executive editor at ETCIO and also the host for this session. Now, before we move forward, let me add some context to the discussion at hand. We understand that the landscape of technology is changing very rapidly and there are business expectations and which are very reasonable because for enterprises to thrive and succeed in today's day and age, they need to be relevant, competitive and ahead of the curve. And we do believe that digital tools and technologies, for example, a lot is being said about something as new as artificial intelligence or AI. These will play a critical or a pivotal role, as far as they are trying to succeed and move ahead on this digital transformation journey. So with these words, we would like to start the session, and to discuss all this, we have two very senior technology professionals with us. It is my pleasure to introduce Riad Gydien, Executive Vice President and Chief Sales Officer at SAS, and joining him is Shukri Dabaghi, Senior Vice President, AP and EMEA Emerging Markets, SAS. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, going on to you, Riad, first. So, there is a lot of thrust on something like innovation in today's day and age, and a lot has been spoken about at this event as well. We would want to know your vision for the future, particularly keeping in mind that the dictum that enterprises who do not innovate risk getting redundant or obsolete. Your views on this, Riad?
I completely agree. I think not innovating is just a recipe to die much quicker than anyone else might. The approach we take is really about putting in place an infrastructure that accommodates innovation. You don't get to just sit down and say, okay, today we're going to innovate, right? You have to create an environment that encourages. Correct. So you need a culture of innovation. And then you need to have the tools that facilitate that innovation. And then the last part of that is to have the ability to take that innovation and put it into practice, right? To put it into production in technology speak. So that continuum is what's important, and that's how SAS operates, and what we do is to try and facilitate that and establish that in every company we work with. So it's not, as I said, it's not just about deciding to be innovative. It's about having the environment, then putting in place the ability to innovate with the tools, and then having the ability to exploit the innovation to actually return on the investment that you put in.
Absolutely. And there is a very famous saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Correct.
If there is no culture, you can't expect any innovation. I think you have put it very well. Your views on this, Shukri?
Well, I believe time to market is one of the biggest the biggest encouragement that at the moment customers are looking at to be able to spurring on the innovation at this stage. Given enough time, anyone will be able to build potentially an IT team that will be able to put the technology together, especially in a country like India that has a wealth of technologists and people who can do this. Time to market and being able to utilize a vendor who has proven technology to be able to allow you to innovate at speed and be ahead of your competition, that is one of the main things people look at all the time now.
Absolutely. Thanks for your kind words for our country. And moving on to the next question, which is kind of related. So we have spoken about innovation. Now, innovation rests hugely on your ability for R&D and your capability for R&D. So how is the India R&D capabilities adding on to your global innovation drives?
Well, it's our largest center outside of the US, and it's based in India for a reason. You have a wealth of people talent, not just talented people, but you also have the ability to generate new talent through your education systems and through the willingness of people to actually take on the challenges of studying further and really developing their skills. So we've established that center in Pune. It's our biggest center, as I said, outside of the US. And we do some of our most innovative work and cutting edge work, particularly on our business solutions at that center in Pune. It's a critical part of us being able to accelerate innovation.
Right.
And we're continually adding to that investment center as well, or the innovation center in Pune.
Correct. So, Shukri, as I was speaking about the rapidly changing technology landscape, and we would all agree that, over the past couple of years, there has been, phenomenal change, phenomenal developments, for example, particularly in the fields of artificial intelligence. So, how are you aligned to these new realities, and what markets do you foresee, and how are you aligned to this new reality?
Me personally?
Why not? I am sure you would be doing it personally as well.
Thank you.
But from SAS's point of view.
Absolutely, from SAS's perspective. So we are all about being able to provide an ability for our customers to address their customer requirements at speed, proficiency, and efficiency. And this is what our VIA platform is all about. We are within the context, the revolution that's happening right now in AI. For it to be operationalized and to provide value for its clients, you need a platform that enables you to be able to respond to the dynamic requirements of the market at speed and within the constraints that you have. Either the constraints are people or data, whatever have you. And if you've seen one of our comments that's coming through in Innovate, you've seen how we've been able to address different aspects of that. So the way SAS is trying to address this market is being able to address through these constraints that are available for our customers, the ability to innovate and the ability to get out there with speed, with a technology that provides you proficiency, efficiency, and speed to get out there in the market and being far more competitive, either at the top line or the bottom line for our customers.
I would add just one element to that. So absolutely agree with everything Shukri said, but there's one element that has to underpin everything, and that is the element of trust.
True.
There has always been a bit of a deficiency of trust in technology per se, but particularly when it gets to AI and generative AI, we have to make sure that we build a strong element of trust in the data, trust in making sure that we protect the individuals, making sure that there's no bias in models, and we build that into our technology end to end throughout. That's one of our core beliefs as well from a technology vendor point of view.
Absolutely. I think that is a very valid point, that security cannot be an afterthought or a bolt-on solution. There has to be security by design, particularly with respect to emerging technologies. For example, we are talking about artificial intelligence. So if there are tools in that domain, they will have to be, at the level of development, it will have to be ensured that they are robust and secure by design.
Well, security, yes. Security is a given. It has to be there. The trust I'm talking about, security is one element. The other is to trust that what the AI model is telling you is not biased. By data that has come in. It's not biased based on gender or location or any of the other elements that can drive bias. So you have to know and be sure that when you get that result, that it's a secure result, but also a trusted result where you've made sure that there's no bias. And one of the things that is built in at a platform level, at a detail level within the SAS VIA platform.
Wonderful. So I think there has been global concerns around bias as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, because the training models or the training data is the data that has been there till a particular point of time, and there could be bias in it, which can get accentuated or be learned by the system that is operating. I think that's a very valid point. So Riad, you guys are doing a lot as far as innovation and emerging technologies like AI is concerned. So it would be great if you could, tell us some of the success stories globally which have been there.
In the context of AI?
Yes, and innovation.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some phenomenal successes. We have one example is a non-profit research company called Riad, where they actually leverage our AI capabilities around drug development and drug trials specifically, particularly around viruses. And what they've actually managed to do and use leveraging SAS is to use synthetic data, because you have to, on two fronts, you want to use synthetic data to be able to get a big enough data set to be able to get results from it without having to run onerous large trials. But at the same time, you also have to protect individuals' data when running the trials. So then you use synthetic data combined with AI, and that's a phenomenal study, particularly given the context of viruses and the world's recent experiences. It's very exciting for us to be at the cutting edge of that as well.
Right. I think the application of AI in drug discovery and in drug development is immense and huge, as you rightly pointed out. So that's an excellent success story. Shukri, would you like to add on with Indian ones from India?
Some great use cases have been coming through from the Indian market for us. The market here has shown a massive aptitude for actually thinking beyond the usual standard use cases globally. I've seen a willingness for many of the customers here to try new things, to test. And that's one of the things we've always enjoyed, working with the customers and the government, and local governments or national governments that comes in India. The utilizations are varied. Obviously, I am slightly limited with sometimes some NDAs on how much we could share, but please allow me, I'll give you some ideas. So the ability to come through in general with some of the, in the banking sector, with some of the models that can address customer requirements at speed with the changing dynamics of the affluent customers. This is a lot of area where at the moment we're addressing with some of the banking customers that we have here. In many cases with the government, we're working either with the customs departments or we're working with the local taxation authorities in being able to maximize either the collection or to improve our ability to utilize the revenue collection of the local governments for the purpose of obviously for the purpose of the local citizens and that perspective. As well, we're working with many of the social security agencies and entities within India so that we can improve their ability of not only of collection, but as well where they spend on which particular programs that has the biggest level of efficiency and effectiveness, especially when it comes to the lowest levels, let's say, of the citizens that really are in most need for programs that can support them on their daily basis. So there's a wide aspect of utilizations and use cases that are available in India, and many of them are actually being picked up by many other countries as well, who are eager to try them as well on their own and learn from the examples here.
Wonderful, that's great news. That there is a vast array of use cases as well as success stories coming from India. Now, Riad, going back to something that we have already touched upon. So this is with respect to the concerns around the development of AI, ethical concerns, trust issues, all of that. So how are you trying to, really ameliorate or mitigate those concerns at your level that, something like that doesn't happen?
Well, we actually start way before hands hit keyboards, right? So before we actually went down the path of really leveraging the AI components, and even now with generative AI, we established a team that is dedicated to making sure that we have ethical AI no matter what we do. We have a vice president of ethical AI. He runs a business unit that is purely focused on making sure that every solution we bring to market has been scrubbed to make sure that it is engineered into it, the ability to make sure that we don't have any unethical elements or untrustworthy elements. So ethical AI is actually, I would say, we've put it in at the DNA level rather than trying to code it in or fix it later. So that is embedded in all of our technology throughout. We score for bias, as I've said. We score for concerns around the quality of the data, or actually looking at the data itself to see are there bias concerns or ethical AI concerns. Insofar at an application level, we do the same. So we've started in the right way. We're also working together with governments all over the world engaging early. We've engaged early directly with the Office of the Presidency in the US. We work similarly with government in Singapore. We're working together, I think, at a participating as governments develop legislation around this. As always, the technology leapfrogs ahead, and the legislation struggles to keep up with the technology.
True.
Our approach has been, we don't wait for it to be legislated. We get out of the blocks immediately, and we make a very strong stance right at the outset. But I do think we have that luxury because we've been around for 5 decades. AI is not new to us. We've been doing it for decades, and we've always made sure that we have and operate at an ethical level, and that we have trust in the results that we put out, leveraging advanced analytics, machine learning, etc.
Absolutely. I think responsible AI is the way ahead as, as different societies, communities, countries and nations try to come up with newer and better models of AI. I think the ethical considerations would have to be taken into account, and there is already a lot of regulation and policy making which is happening around this, although this is also a very new area, very emerging area, because the technologies themselves are pretty new, or the buzz that they have created is largely new. Your views on this, Shukri?
So in addition to everything Riad said, I think what we're trying to do at a local level, let's say in the most operationalized manner of how we apply this, is starting with the data that we collect. So responsible AI, obviously in addition to the bias that comes in that we try to eradicate from the models as much as possible, and the regulation and the framework that we put around it, the way we approach our projects with our customers is that we ask, where does this data come from? What does this data explain? And how does it come together? So the building blocks of the project, starting from the data in itself and how we can put it together into the reporting, into the analytics that sits behind it and the models, that's the starting point there. And, for many of the customers who've been with us for years, especially here in India, for multiple decades, we have customers. They know us, in addition for being the analytics people, they call us the data people. So much so that the quality of the data that we present, so we have certain customers who actually in their board meetings say, this is the SAS data, which means by default, this is the accurate data. So this is to the extent of how we have interwoven ourselves into the decision-making capability, where there's so much trust in the decisions that come through our technology, that many customers call this is the SAS data, which means that's the end point. This is the data that's correct. A decision from there, it's
ultimate source of truth.
Absolutely.
I would again add just one element.
Yes,
I should have put in the first part of my response. Another thing that we've actually engineered into the platform as a whole that speaks directly to ethical AI or responsible AI is accountability, and so auditability and accountability. It's all well and good saying, well, we'll score the models for trust, for ethical AI, for making sure the data everything is sound. But models are, in effect, or AI applications are dynamic, right? They're constantly changing. You're taking that model, you're retiring it, you're refreshing the model, you're putting a new one in, and people change things. Things get changed all the time.
And they also learn on their own.
Correct.
Absolutely.
The machine learning runs. You have data changing. The underlying systems change. How in a world where you have some customers have thousands of models, some have tens of thousands of models, how do you make sure that everything is running smoothly? And when somebody comes and says, why did you get this answer? Where is this coming from? That you have the auditability and traceability all the way through into the model, what changed, when, who changed it, all the way down into the data, where did it come from, how fresh was, what is the rate of change? Is the model fresh? Has it deteriorated? All of that has to be engineered into a platform so that when you're running AI at scale, you're able to have auditability and accountability. And that's engineered into SAS Viya as well. So that speaks again to what I was saying earlier about having it in our DNA, right? We don't engineer it into the product after the fact. We don't wait for it to be legislated. We engineer it in right from the outset.
Right from the inception. And so Shukri has already spoken about when he said that it's the SAS data is the ultimate source of truth. What are your views on how you differentiate yourself as far as data analytics is concerned?
We are often referred to as both the founder and the future of analytics. And as a company, we've tended to be probably more conservative in that we're not as bold as some of our younger competitors who make very bold claims. But the reality is we've been around for almost 50 years. We'll be around for 50 more years, and our customers know this. So we're a trusted partner, and that differentiates us. We're not fly by night. We're not about the transactional engagement. We're not here trying to just drive top line growth to drive a valuation. We're about the customer's value and delivering that value consistently over time. And that is our core differentiator and has been, as I said, for nearly 5 decades.
I think it's been an excellent discussion. We come to the end of it because I have run out of questions, and we have covered a very diverse array of areas like innovation, responsible AI, ethical AI, the purity of data, how do models really learn and how do you keep an eye on them, and how do you develop trust within customers as far as something as new as artificial intelligence is concerned, which has been there for some time, but the buzz is relatively new. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. It's been a lovely discussion, and thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to having you tuned in to further episodes of this series. Thank you.